Starting the show with some exclusive news-breaking developments coming in. Early leads from the investigations into the New York terror attack point at a Pakistan link. Saipov, the murderer of Manhattan who mowed down 8 people in his pickup truck, migrated to the United States from Tashkent in Uzbekistan, and evidence found in the truck points to his allegiance to the Islamic State. Saipov's earliest influence is likely to have been the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, a militant Islamist group set up in 1998. The group made contact with Osama bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda in the 2000s, but post the 9/11 attack, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan was largely destroyed during the US-led war against terrorism. But many members of the terror group began to settle down in tribal areas of Pakistan. Let's go straight across to our senior foreign editor Padma Rao, joining us for more perspectives on this. Padma, there is seemingly a Pakistan link as far as the Uzbek national is concerned and the Manhattan terror ploy is concerned. What more do we know at this point as the investigations, of course, proceed?
Yes, we certainly know very little. We only know that a note was found expressing his link to the Islamic State in the pickup truck that he used when he launched this attack in Tribeca in New York. The other thing we know is, of course, this is news reporters quoting passers-by who say that he shouted Allahu Akbar when he committed the murderous act. Now, about the group itself, Molly, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, this is pure speculation right now, but it's very likely, given the fact that almost all roads from all the 96 terror attacks that have taken place in the United States since 9/11 and the nearly 600 or more that took place in Europe, somehow all roads during the investigations, or many roads, have led back to terror groups based in Pakistan. So it may be with this one, because what are the facts we have on hand? This man is 29 years old. He moved to the United States in 2010, so he must have been 22 years old. Now let's look at this group, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, which is said to be, in fact, it's linked to very closely to the Islamic State. It is an ally of the Islamic State, and its ideology is pan-Islamism, a Central Asian caliphate, etc., etc. This is a group that was set up in 1998, and post 9/11 it was particularly ferocious and ferociously anti-American, and post American invasion in Afghanistan even more so. It did face some setbacks, but then it retreated and it was given a welcoming place to settle down initially in South Waziristan, and then when there were sectarian conflicts, they moved with the help of Baitullah Masood, who is a well-known figure in the world of terrorists settled in Pakistan. He gave them shelter, and the group is said now to be based very much in North Waziristan.
All right, stay with me, Padma, as we continue to track the latest coming in. These are, of course, the initial details that are trickling in at this point, but coming with the question that is there a Pakistan link to the New York terror attack? Let's go straight across to MD Nalapat, who's joining us as well on the discussion. Professor, your initial reaction to what emerges at this point. Of course, it's early to say as investigations continue, but there are these links which are emerging which cannot be ignored.
Well, it's no surprise, because the Pakistan extremists have been in very frequent contact with the Uzbek extremists from both Xinjiang as well as Uzbekistan, and there are multiple training camps in Pakistan, some of them protected by the Pakistan army. So it's hardly a surprise. What is frankly surprising to some of us is the fact that the very country that is suffering the brunt of these attacks, which is China, is actually sheltering the Pakistan army while it is itself sheltering these terrorists.
Right, Padma, I also want to get in further perspective on how Pakistan, of course, deniability remains a constant, but with these latest links, and we are, of course, pointing out time and again that these are initial details, this could also be speculation at this point, but as Professor Nalapat was also pointing out, it's not surprising given the pattern that we are observing at this point.
Yes, absolutely. Let's not forget one thing, Molly, the Central Asian republics, including and especially Uzbekistan, about 4,000 fighters of the Islamic State are from the Central Asian republics. And the main reason for this is because there was an attempt by the rulers of the Central Asian republics, including Uzbekistan, since the early 90s to clamp down on any form of hardline, indeed even conservative Islam. So, for instance, the hijab is banned, mosques are not allowed to use loudspeakers, madrasas are not allowed to preach or teach anything other than a secular curriculum, and also restaurants, I mean, you know, this is hardly something to laugh at, but because it is a sad and solemn occasion that we're discussing this upon, but restaurants in Uzbekistan, for instance, cannot be opened unless they have a liquor license. So you cannot open a tea house in Uzbekistan. Now, moves like this, you know, undemocratic moves to establish democracies often lead to a hardening of positions and stances, and many analysts have indeed pointed that the rise in the number of fighters with the Islamic State from these countries may have been or it is indeed a backlash of these policies in the Central Asian republics. Now remember, this man was 22 when he was still in when he left Tashkent, and the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, which is actually now calls itself a part of the Islamic State, is still closely allied to many groups in that region, including the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which indeed has helped it, you know, so to speak, across the border to establish a new home and new headquarters.
Right. Sorry to interrupt you there. Hold that thought, please, Padma. We also have Khadim Hussain, who is an expert on ISIS, joining us from Peshawar for more on this. Mr. Hussain, what do we know so far about the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan?
Well, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan was initially working under the broader umbrella of Al-Qaeda. Tahir Dajov used to be his chief, and he was and his organization was based previously in South Uzbekistan. But the local Taliban in 2009 dislodged them and pushed them to North Uzbekistan. After the military operation in Pakistan in 2014, the remaining part of the militia moved to first eastern Afghanistan and then northern Afghanistan and joined the Islamic State of the newly established chapter of the Islamic State of Khorasan in India. The new chapter, they call it the Islamic State of Khorasan in India. And now his son actually heads the part of the Islamic State of Khorasan in India in Afghanistan, and perhaps, according to many reports, the militia is based in northern Afghanistan.
Professor Nalapat, I believe, is still with us. Professor, your reaction also to how this is a larger concern that we are staring at as increasingly, all right, I'm told we've lost that connection with Professor Nalapat, but we do still have Khadim Hussain as well as our senior foreign editor Padma Rao with us. Padma, as Mr. Khadim was just pointing out, there is, of course, a lot and at the same time not enough that's known about the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, which is believed to be headquartered in Pakistan.
Well, it's had a long history. It may have been lying low for a while, and as the professor pointed out, you know, it is not only, it considers itself not only a part of the Islamic State of, the Islamic State, but its allies. It has many different allies. So, as you know, I pretty much agree with the picture he was painting. Terrorist groups like this tend to sort of be spread out with their sympathies over a multitude of organizations, and this one certainly has had its sympathies and continues to have its sympathies not only with the Islamic State but also with the Al-Qaeda and notably with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and with the Haqqani group. So there are links between the Uzbek movement and Pakistan. Now it remains to be seen whether the investigation in the incident in New York will also establish those links and whether all roads will lead back to Pakistan. Having said that, Molly, I agree with Professor Nalapat. You know, for Indians listening to this, this is really business as usual. There are no big surprises for us, but it is time that the world woke up, especially the United States, which continues its strategic partnership and its strategic closeness to Pakistan, despite Pakistan's repeated harboring and long-standing harboring and supporting of terrorists on its soil.